Welcome back. Time for this week's Capitol Report with Pat McGuigan of CapitolBeatOK.com. And Pat, aside from the fiscal cliff, gun control, gun policy seems to be the hot issue right now. The president hosted a press conference this week on gun control, coming on the heels of the tragedy in Newtown. What was the focus of this meeting, of this briefing?
I appreciate the question. I'm just going to focus on the policy. The tragedy's received a lot of coverage that it's deserved. Just on the policy side for a couple of minutes. The president he sounds pretty determined to find a way to regulate access to the kinds of weapons and munitions used in that slaughter. And that's what he laid out. He said he was going to appoint Joe Biden, put Joe Biden in charge, and Biden does have experience with criminal justice issues. I don't necessarily applaud all of his experience, but he's got experience from his past work with judiciary. So they're going to do a commission, but the president was kind of interesting in this respect, saying, I don't want this to be a 6-month, 1 year, 18-month, I'm paraphrasing, kind of process. I want in a few weeks, I want some proposals, which kind of makes you think maybe the proposals are already on the table. Focusing on so-called assault weapons and on the kinds of clips that allow, a massive amount of ammo in a clip. Background checks, which that's going to be interesting because in a place like Oklahoma, it introduces the possibility that a gun show approach to marketing of weapons could be undermined.
Talking about closing the loophole, the gun show loophole.
Yeah, you can call it a gun show loophole, or you can just call it, gun shows, which are something that have gone on a long time in Oklahoma and places in the West. And he did acknowledge, a difference between urban and rural, and I guess he'd probably put us in the rural category, even in the big cities. But again, I don't know what the outcome is. What he's outlined is interesting. What will be intriguing is to watch how Biden, who is a guy that's dealt with policy issues in the past, how he looks at some of the facts, because some of the facts are that Connecticut has pretty comprehensive, at the state level, gun control strictures in place that did not prevent this tragedy from taking place. It'll be interesting seeing how he looks at the context of overall violent crime being down. Be interesting to see how they deal with the NRA. The president seemed to be trying to establish some common ground, just like the NRA has been in some of the language and rhetoric. So we'll see. One of the things that touches my heart is when I hear public officials say we want to make sure something like this never happens again. And when you see those quotes, things like this have happened in France, in places where weapons are not readily available. There have been slaughter of innocents. This is a human thing, it's not a machinery thing. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a big discussion in Washington about regulation of what the meaning of the Second Amendment. I can't predict the outcome.
Well, obviously we'll all be watching.
Right.
Let's move on and switch gears, and the holidays are upon us, so we're going to ask you to play Santa here for a moment and talk about which politicians have been naughty, which have been nice.
Well, I have one from each party for each category.
Okay.
On the naughty side, I can't think of a person probably who's done more harm to the conservative and Tea Party brand in Oklahoma, a conservative state where there's a lot of Tea Party supporters, than Al Gerhart, the head of the, I think they call it the Sooner Tea Party. He's spent a lot of time and energy devoted to hurting other activist conservatives, including former allies. And so I'd put him in the naughty category. I had to go nationally. I guess I have a soft spot for some of the Oklahoma Democrats, so I had to go national to find a naughty Democrat, and that'd be Nancy Pelosi, for a couple of reasons. At the time of the passage of the federal health care legislation, she said we'll have to pass it to find out what's in it, and acted like questions about constitutionality were, retarded or something, stupid. She also, in the current circumstance, has admitted that when she said at least tax people above $1 million more, she's now admitted that was just a political ploy. It wasn't a serious offer in terms of the negotiations. And of course, that was a bump in the road. It took about 48 hours to get over that because the Republicans thought that might be the actual basis for a deal. On the nice side, Joe Dorman, Democrat, working with Positive Tomorrows, giving them a lot of help and indicating he'd like to try to get them public support again, which they used to have. But it's an outstanding private school that works with homeless children and is effective. And then the last would be Republican Kris Steele, the former speaker, who's taken charge of the Education and Employment Ministry, which is a wonderful ministry based in the Oklahoma City area that has for a couple of generations now been helping people, some of whom have no history of work, get jobs and become productive citizens. So there's my naughty and nice list.
Thanks for your list, Pat. And you can read more about these and other topics at CapitolBeatOK.com. For Pat McGuigan, I'm Alex Cameron. Have a great weekend.